Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Stop School Violence FY19 Funding Webinar. At this time, I would like to introduce you to today's presenters, David Adams, Senior Policy Advisor with the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and Lynette Chambliss, Grant Program Specialist with the COPS Office.
Good afternoon. My name is David Adams, and I'm a Senior Policy Advisor with the Law Enforcement Team at the Bureau of Justice Assistance. I manage the Stop School Violence program here at BJA. Today's discussion will center on the two BJA site-based solicitations that are currently posted, the BJA Stop Prevention Training and Response to Mental Health Crisis Program, and the BJA Stop Technology and Threat Assessment Solutions for Safer Schools program. In addition, we'll talk about the COPS office portion of the Stop School Violence program, and Ms. Chambliss will discuss that for the COPS office. BJA solicitation is based on the 2018 Stop School Violence Act. This year, Congress appropriated $75 million for both of that is split between the two BJA solicitations, and this funding is available to states, local government, local units of government, as well as Indian tribes. Specifically, the projects for both solicitations are for up to 36 months. They must be submitted in the appropriate category based on population of the applicant. There is no match requirement this year, and we also decided at the last minute to remove the priority consideration for applicants proposing a match. So you are not required to provide a match, and there will not be a priority consideration as is currently stated on this slide. Submissions will use evidence-based strategies and programs, and there is a link in the solicitation that will give you more information about evidence-based programs at OJP. A state, unit of local government, or Indian tribe may use the grant to contract with or make one or more subawards to one or more local education agencies, nonprofit organizations, excluding schools, or units of local government or tribal organizations. No amounts of the funding provided by BJA under this part may be used for the provision of any person of a firearm or training to use a firearm. Discussing the eligibility units of local government, it's any city, county, township, town, borough, parish, village, or other general purpose political subdivision of a state, any law enforcement district or judicial enforcement district that is established under applicable state law and has the authority to, in a manner independent of other state entities, establish a budget and impose taxes, or for the purposes of assistance eligibility, any agency of the government of the District of Columbia or the federal government that performs law enforcement functions in and for the District of Columbia or any trust territory to the United States. A local education agency is a public board of education or other public authority legally constituted within a state for either administrative control or direction of, or to perform a service function for public elementary schools or secondary schools in a city, county, township, school district, or other political subdivision of a state, or for a combination of school districts or counties as are recognized in a state as an administrative agency for its public elementary schools or secondary schools. Now to the mental health program. This solicitation, you may request funding for the training of staff, education of students, or education of administrators to respond to mental health crises. Applications are submitted by category based on population. Category 1 is a state with a population greater than 5 million. Category 2 is a state with a population of less than 5 million. Category 3 is an urban area or large county defined as having a population greater than 500,000. Category 4 is a suburban area or medium-sized county defined as having a population between 100,000 and 500,000. Category 5 is a rural area or small county defined as having a population of less than 100,000. And Category 6 is a federally recognized Indian tribe. The objectives and deliverables for this solicitation is to support efforts by states, units of local government, and federally recognized Indian tribes to prevent school violence, specifically by the training of school personnel and the education of students, to provide training to teachers and education to students with the intent to prevent school violence, and to provide specialized trainings for school officials in responding to related mental health crises that may precipitate violent attacks on school grounds. The deliverables would be a creation and delivery of a multidisciplinary training program for school personnel, which includes volunteers, counselors, coaches, school resource officers, and other individuals working in and around schools, that results in policies and programs that promote successful, safe learning environments. The training should be based on an evidence-based curriculum and with adult learning principles, and address critical issues such as mental health, bullying, addiction, and interpersonal violence. Training should be developed in accordance with STOP site grantees' current legal frameworks and governing policies of the grantee. Deliverables can also include a creation and delivery of an education session for students with the intent to prevent violence against others. Sessions should include best practices for recognizing and responding to potential signs of violence. Note that scenario training directed at students that incorporates volatile role-playing is prohibited. Sessions should be thought-based and not risk traumatizing students with role players assuming violent roles. Creation of delivery or evidence-based comprehensive multidisciplinary training for school personnel, enabling them to respond to mental health crises that may precipitate violent attacks on school grounds. Training should be conducted in consultation with experts such as school violence researchers, licensed mental health professionals, social workers, teachers, principals, public safety, and other school personnel. You should document all training and education sessions conducted under the award, and work in close coordination with the BJA STOP training and technical assistance provider throughout the life of the grant program to meet project goals, including sharing materials, resources, data, and best practices. BJA is posting or has posted a training and technical assistance solicitation that will provide a TTA provider for this program, and that will be funded later this year as well. Now, the BJA STOP Technology and Threat Assessment Solutions for Safer Solutions program. This is for the creation and support of threat assessment teams, crisis intervention teams, and there's a technology category that allows applicants to request funding to assist with technology such as anonymous reporting systems. Category 8 was created this year and is to support the creation or enhancement of existing state school safety centers. There is no population breakdown for Category 7. All size communities can apply. Category 8 is specifically for states of any size to support the creation or enhancement of school safety centers. This category is open to any state size, as I stated, as well as to states who may already have a state school safety center. Funding amounts for the categories listed. States with a population greater than 5 million may request funding up to $1 million. A state with a population less than 5 million may request funding for up to $500,000. Urban areas or large counties with a population greater than 500,000 may request funding for up to $500,000. Category 4, a suburban area or medium-sized county with a population between 100 and 500,000 may request funding for up to $250,000. A rural area or small county with a population of less than 100,000 may request funding for up to $150,000. Federally recognized Indian tribes may request funding for up to $100,000. The Category 7, the anonymous reporting technology category, is for an award up to $250,000. And Category 8, state school safety centers, are for states, and that's for an award of up to $1 million. The application process. Applications are to be submitted to grants.gov by June the 8th and June the 18th for the respective solicitations. The Threat Assessment Solutions for Safer Schools programs is due on June the 11th, and the Mental Health is due on June the 18th. We strongly suggest that applications be submitted at least 72 hours prior to the due date. Applications will then be reviewed to that they meet basic minimum requirements as stated in the solicitation. All applications that meet basic minimum requirements will then be forwarded to peer review. Applications will be peer reviewed by a panel of 3 outside reviewers. Peer-reviewed applications will be scored, and those scores will be presented to BJA. At that time, this BJA will provide the scoring results to the director with recommendations for funding, and the director will make the final decision and submit the recommendations to the Office of Justice Programs Principal Deputy AAG. Upon approval of awards, applicants will be notified no later than September 30th of 2019.
Good afternoon. This is Lynette Chambers from the COPS office. I am the program manager for the COPS portion of the Stop School Violence program. In our office, it is known as School Violence Prevention Program, or SVPP for short, so I'll be using SVPP. Okay. Our program opened in March, and it will run through May 31st of this year at 8 p.m. Okay, our office, this is just some background information on our office if you are not familiar, but in terms of this program, last year we funded 91 agencies which benefited 5,000 schools and 3 million students with our appropriation, so we're very proud of this program. Okay, so our funding does come through the same act that David mentioned, the Student, Teachers, and Officers Preventing School Violence Act of 2018. For this year, we have, again, $25 million, okay? Our awards for this year go to states, units of local government, and Indian tribes, and if you notice, we have a change for this year. We've expanded it to public agencies, which, you know, will typically include a police department, a sheriff's office, school districts, boards of education, independent school districts. So keep in mind that is a change from last year. Okay, and same with BJA. The appropriation allows for our award recipients to make sub-awards with those same eligible agencies. Okay, so our funding is geared towards law enforcement. So we have purpose areas 5 through 9 through the Act. So we provide up to 75% funding for coordination with law enforcement, training for law enforcement officers to prevent school violence, metal detectors, locks, lighting, other target hardening items, technology for expedited notification during an emergency, and there's anything our director sees in the proposals that could improve school safety that doesn't fit the other items. Okay, so here's some information about the award. We do have an award cap at $500,000. So the federal share will be that. The local match is at least 25%, and it will be a cash match. So we do not allow for in-kind matches. Our awards are for 2 years, 24 months, and you are able to extend that time frame if necessary. Our application is essentially in 2 parts, geared towards finding out, you know, your need for security, your need for financial assistance, as well as your comprehensive approach to school safety. So those are the 3 bullets you see there. Demonstrated need for improved security as well as financial assistance. That is within our applications. You'll answer questions around those items. and then your evidence-based strategies and programs will be your submitted narrative. So our application is our questions as well as a narrative that you will attach in our system. And like I said earlier, the solicitation is open until the 31st of May at 7:59 p.m. Okay, and I'll be happy to answer questions about this program. The slide you see now is the link to our webpage, as well as my name, our contact number, and the SVPP email box. So please send all of your questions that you may have. I do encourage, if you haven't already, to please register your ORI number, which is your identification number, with our office, so that you may complete the generic grants.gov portion of your application, and then move on over to our site. So if you need help with that, please either email this address here or contact that phone number, and we'll be happy to get you set up if you're not already. Okay? So thank you.
All right, we are going to go back into the question portion here in a second. A couple things I want to go over before we get there. Showing right now on your screen is a slide with the BJA website. So if you need that information, as well as where the Stop School Violence solicitations are available on the BJA website under their funding section. And you can also contact them through the phone number and fax number seen on the screen. We also encourage you to follow BJA on their social media. Information about their Facebook, Twitter, and RSS feeds are listed on the slide. They do often announce webinars and funding opportunities via these mechanisms. And then again, the BJA website is listed here. After today's webinar, if you don't have a question to submit if you don't have an opportunity to submit your question, or you don't think of the question that you want, and after the webinar ends you think of something, please submit it to the National Criminal Justice Reference Service, and you can send it to grants@ncjrs.gov. They will work with David to answer any questions that you may have regarding the solicitation. They also have a toll-free number that is shown on the screen, as well as a web chat feature. They are open at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time, and they are opened a little later on the solicitation due date. But again, as David indicated during his portion of the presentation, please do not wait until that last 11:59 hour on the due date. Try to submit your application at least 72 hours in advance. If you're having problems submitting your application, please contact grants.gov. Their information is on the screen. Both NCJRS's and grants.gov information is also on the solicitation, so you can refer to the solicitation and get the same information that you're looking at here. Grants.gov is open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, except on federal holidays, and they also have an email address as well. One other thing, if you are having questions about application process and different items, you can look at or read the transcript for 4 webinars that were conducted through BJA earlier this year, the Grant Applicant Education Series. In particular, webinars 2, 3, and 4 are addressing certain things that you would need and would be helpful during the application process. That information is also located on the BJA website. If you go to the funding section and then scroll down below the chart, you're going to find the link that is here, BJA funding webinar/webinars, and you can click on it from there. Again, the full URL, though, is www.bja.gov/funding/webinars.html. Lastly, a list of resources that we would want to make available to you that, again, will help you during your funding process, is listed on this slide here. Items such as the DOJ Financial Guide and the OJP Funding Resource Center can be a valuable resource to you as you go through the process. The last link here is NIJ's crimesolutions.gov, and it has a listing of different programs that are out there, and they rate the programs as being promising, effective, or not effective. So this might be a good place for you to look when you're developing or enhancing your program. So at this time, we are going to open it up and start addressing the questions that were asked and submitted. Give me 1 second here, and we'll get to the first question. We're taking them in order as they were submitted. Can an LEA apply directly without going through the county as the fiscal agent?
I believe that you would be able to apply as the fiscal agent.
Many Americans think that since 1994, something has gone wrong. How does this get admitted to and resolved? Not really sure how that question applies to the solicitations at hand. All right, give us 1 second, please, as we look through these questions. I apologize for the delay. I'm going to move the slide to the NCGRS slide right now so that you have the opportunity to write some of that information down. All right, so we do have a question here about the PowerPoint. The transcript and audio recording for today's webinar will be posted to the BJA website. I'm going to say in approximately 10 business days, but it's probably going to be in less time than that, but that'll give you kind of the far end. One of the things I do suggest, looking at the slide right now, NCGRS is up. If you go to the NCGRS website, ncgrs.gov, you can sign up for their funding newsletter. This newsletter comes out every Friday. It announces the new funding opportunities from the Office of Justice Programs. It'll also alert you to when there's a webinar related to those opportunities and when the items from the webinar have been posted to the appropriate agency websites. So if you sign up for that, you will find out when the information has been posted. You can also just check back at the BJA website. Do school districts need to submit anything in our application to indicate our eligibility?
Speaking for BJA, that is not a requirement this year. Last year there was a requirement that you had to submit a letter that you are authorized to apply. That has, with the appropriations language that Congress passed this year, that's no longer a requirement for BJA.
And same with COPS. You may apply directly. You do not have to submit any additional paperwork to show eligibility.
Can the FY19 STOP grant awardee apply for additional funding in the same school district to enhance programs, i.e. extend into different counties or provide services to elementary populations when previous awards were for middle or high school?
So if you received an award under Category 1 through 6 of last year, which is the categories based on population, you are not eligible for an award under that same solicitation category this year. However, if you receive funding for Categories 1 through 6 but were not funded for Category 7, then you are eligible to apply for an award under Category 7 in the Threat Assessment and Technology program. And if you did not receive an award in the Mental Health program last year, you are eligible to apply under that program this year.
Okay. On the COP side, our solicitation is open. So if you were funded last year, you are welcome to also apply again this year for an extension of your project.
For cash match required for the COPS grant, can a school district use grant funding to receive from the state for a security program, not federal funding?
So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is provided that that particular funding does not have restrictions on what you're able to do with it. So for example, if the regulations of that funding prohibit using as a match for a federal grant, then no, you may not. But otherwise, yes, that funding is allowable, provided there are no inhibitions on how it may be used.
Something was mentioned about funding for a training and technical assistance program. Do you have more information on what that is?
So we at BJA will typically have a training and technical assistance provider that assists grantees of a particular program. For instance, we have our Project Safe Neighborhoods program. We also have a TTA provider that assists the local awardees meet the requirements of their program. That will be the case with the STOP program this year. With the additional funding we were provided, we were able to create a training and technical assistance program. There's different eligibility to apply for that as a provider. The applicants must be able to provide training and technical assistance on a national scale and be able to provide assistance to all of the local grantees that we awarded last year, that we will award this year and in coming years.
All right, so at this time we're waiting for some additional questions to come through. I am going to flip it over to the grants.gov slide for a hot second or two. Again, if you have any technical difficulties submitting your application or uploading any documents, please contact grants.gov. You can reach them at their 800 number, 800-518-4726. Again, they are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, except on federal holidays. And you can also email them at the email address provided on the screen. If you have any issues or questions about financial aspects of your application, please use the DOJ Financial Guide. The URL for that is listed here on the screen, as well as some other resources that are available to you.
I just wanted to add, this is Lynette from COPS. A question that I've been getting a lot is regarding whether or not individual schools are eligible to apply, and unfortunately, no, we are not allowing individual schools to apply this year. So if you are an individual school, please consider reaching out to your local government, your law enforcement office, your LEA to partner with them. But we're not able to accept applications from individual schools, which would include charter schools, okay?
For COPS, please clarify what you mean by an extension of the project that was previously funded.
So one of the earlier questions mentioned whether or not an awardee from last year would be able to apply again and hope to include other schools within their jurisdiction as part of their project. So that is what I mean about an extension of the project. So you're not limited to just your award last year. If you apply this year, that's fine. If you're funded this year, that's great. And if it ends up expanding your comprehensiveness of your school safety, that's even better.
Should a smartphone app project be submitted for a COPS or BJA grant, or could we submit to both?
So that would be appropriate under the Technology and Threat Assessment Solutions for Safer Schools program, and you would come in under Category 7 with that.
All right, we will give you another few minutes. Questions are not coming in really fast, so if you do have anything, please, you have Lynette and David's undivided attention right now, so it's a great time to ask the questions. And again, if for some reason that you think of something after the fact, you can contact and submit that question for the BJA grants to NCGRS. For the COPS grants, if you have any questions after.
You can submit them to our final slide address, which is the SVPP email box. I'm responding to everything out of that box, so send anything you have there.
And
I'll get to you.
I have moved the slide right now, so you're seeing that address. It's SVPP at USDOJ, I'm sorry, COPS hyphen?
Yeah.
SVPP at USDOJ.gov. So if you have any questions about the COPS grant, please submit your question after the webinar to that address. Another question came in. Just to confirm, can you kindly verify if LEAs are eligible to apply directly as a prime applicant on the BJA Prevention and Mental Health Training Program grant. The note at the bottom of the page 10 of the RFP seems to state otherwise. Thank you.
So is my understanding that you would be eligible to apply. Now, I believe the slide has my contact information. If you'd like to send me an email, I'll be more than happy to check with our general counsel office just to verify that, but it's my understanding you would be eligible to apply.
Under the BJA opportunities, if a district received an award under both programs last year, can we apply again this year if the scope is different?
It's my understanding that if you received an award last year, because that award is for 3 years, that you're not eligible to receive funding under the same category for which you were funded last year.
And while we're waiting, I'm going to again flip back to the NCGRS slide. I'll give you another minute to see if any questions come through. Otherwise, I think we will end the webinar. So with regards to the question about the LEAs submitting an application and on their own, please resubmit your question to NCGRS, grants@ncgrs.gov, and David will work with NCGRS to get you a firm answer on that. So please, again, if you're still on the call, submit your question to ncgrs.gov. If I am a threat assessment Category 3 grantee, can I apply as a threat assessment Category 3 grantee if I am proposing completely different activities?
It's my understanding you're not eligible to be funded during that 3-year period if you received an award last year.
If we apply under the category for state-level population, does that mean we have to serve the whole state?
Yes.
There is a question here. I'm not sure if the whole thing came through. It just says local education agency or law enforcement agency.
That's a good question because LEA to me means law enforcement agency. If you're referring to local education agency, you are eligible to apply.
That's correct. When we, at the COPS office, for the purpose of this program, say LEA, it refers to local education agency because that is what the statute says. So law enforcement is eligible, but so are LEAs as defined in the statute, local education.
I hope that clarifies everything for everybody on what LEAs are. I guess it just depends on what you're familiar with. All right, I'm going to check the chat box just to see if any questions came through there. And I'm not seeing anything. Okay, and looks like we got another question. If one county in a state was funded in FY 2018, can we apply for the remainder of the state this year?
Can you clarify what you're referring to?
So this person joined a little late. They apologize if the question was addressed. When applying, do you partially fund or fully fund or only fully fund?
We fully fund an application if there's available funds. Last year we had funds to do full funding. I expect that to be the case this year.
Same for the COPS office. We make awards until we have, run out of funding.
So you should apply only for the amount of funding that you need, not for the maximum amount allowable.
Regarding applying for category focused on medium-sized county, if we are a school district that serves part of a county, can our proposed plan only cover our district, or do we have to cover the entire county?
It would be my understanding that you would apply for the area that you serve. So if you're only serving a portion of that, if your area is only on a portion of that, you're applying for the portion that you serve.
Right, and I'm going to flip it over to the grants.gov slide here for a second so you guys can take a look at that information, and if you'd give us a second. All right, at this time we are going to end the webinar, and we thank you very much on behalf of BJA and the COPS office for attending today's webinar, and we look forward to receiving your applications. You have a wonderful day and best of luck.